don't tell anyone. But in today's video, I'm finally gonna reveal my secret playbook. You ready? Let's jump in. I've been a fee-only financial advisor for over 20 years. And during that time, I've helped hundreds of families become financially independent, and I've helped many of those families generate significant wealth. And in today's video, I'm gonna share with you some of the key techniques that I shared with them that help them achieve their goals, and I believe they'll help you achieve your goals as well. And the first one I wanna talk about is simple is better than complex. Another way to say this is to take on no more complexity than what you need to in order to achieve your investment goals. Now, a lot of investment products just seem super sophisticated, and boy, they're difficult to understand. And if you're fortunate enough that you're smart enough to understand them, boy, they're just gonna have to work. But you know what? The proof is in the fine print. Complex products, for the most part, are designed to be sold, not purchased. What do I mean? They're designed for a salesperson to promote the positives, but not tell you the whole story. There is no free lunch. When somebody says, you know, I've got a better way to achieve 10% risk-free returns. Well, you know what? I call bunk on that, and here's why. If they really had a better way to achieve risk-free returns, they would give just a little bit more than the equivalent US Treasury or the next risk-free asset. So there's always risk in there that you may not see. Even if somebody succeeded for 10, 12, 15, 20 years, it doesn't mean it's always gonna work. There are strategies that, what I call picking up the pennies off the railroad tracks, right? So they're picking up small arbitrage opportunities, and then they're taking a lot of debt. Those are the pennies. And the way they make the returns seem attractive oftentimes is by using leverage, by using debt. And that can work, right? If you had a way to make $1 off of every $100, right? That wouldn't sound so attractive. That's a penny. But if you could borrow 99 of those dollars interest-free, well, now for every dollar you put down, you're making $1 and you have a 50% return. That doesn't mean that it's risk-free though, because you have all that debt, you have all that leverage. So be careful. There are a lot of ways that you can lose money that you won't think about until it happens, and then you'll say, how did I miss that? There are some big companies that have done very, very well, had incredibly smart people on their teams with the best accolades, that lost big dollars in something that was never supposed to happen, but it can happen. So the first rule is simple is better than complex. The next rule, and again, these are gonna all sound simple, but they're so very, very important. Again, I have access to every investment under the sun, and most investments eventually come back to the underlying asset that the investment is based on. So like individual stocks, you can buy derivatives on those, you can buy options on those, you can buy call options, you can do a call option spread, you can do a butterfly spread, all of these things. But what it really comes down to is the underlying asset. And yes, some of these things sound too good to be true, and in fact, they probably are. Many of those strategies work until they don't work. So the next one's gonna sound very simple, but it's no matter how much money that you make, you need to spend less than you earn, right? It's just the basic blocking and tackling. And that's the first thing that I go over with my clients is we have to start you saving. And then it's not enough to save, you also have to invest, right? Many of us have heard about compounding. If we earn a rate of return higher than inflation, then over time, our money starts working harder for us than we do for our money. For instance, if you save $10,000 a year and you get about a 7% return, it's gonna take you about 8 years to earn your first $100,000. Charlie Munger is famous for saying, you know, you just gotta do whatever you have to do to earn that first $100,000. once you have that first $100,000, the next $100,000 is easier to earn because you have that first $100,000 working hard alongside you. In the first year at a 7% return, it's pitching in $7,000 and you're putting in another $10,000. Remember, this example is you're putting in $10,000 a year. So that is helping you get to your next goal. And instead of it taking you 8 years, it takes like 5.5 years. And if your goal is to get to $1 million, by the time you're going from $900,000 to $1 million, that takes very little time at all because you have $900,000 working behind you, right? I mean, $900,000 at 7%, that's going to generate $63,000 a year. So it's not going to take you long. It's going to take you less than 2 years to generate that next that last 100,000 on your goal. So rule number 1, simple is better than complex. Rule number 2 is no matter how much that you earn, you need to spend less than you earn. You need to save that money, and it's not enough to save. You also need to invest. Okay, rule number 3 is one house. And this sounds very trite and very silly. You know, I'm here in this vacation community here where a lot of these homes around me are owned by people that have 2 homes. And in this specific location, the market's done very, very well in the last decade. So people would say, hey, Azul, how can you say one house when you're standing in one of the vacation capitals of the world? And these folks have done very, very well by owning 2 houses. Well, you know what? Over the last decade, what else has done very, very well is stocks. And a 60-40 portfolio has done very, very well. So yes, real estate does have periods where it does well, but unless you know real estate really well, and I definitely have viewers, I definitely have clients that know real estate really well, and if that's you, great. Then go ahead and invest in it, but you want to invest in something that you understand and you know. And for instance, I don't know real estate, right? So I personally should not be thinking about a vacation home, because just because these homes have done very well in the last decade, as a potential new buyer, I'm worried about what the next decade is going to look like. So rule number 3, is one house. Again, building wealth. Where a lot of people get into this too is a vacation home for the family. They think the grandkids and their adult children and their grandkids are going to want to come to, even as nice as a place like this is. Probably your grandkids, as they get older, aren't going to want to come here for the 10th, 11th, 12th time. So just be careful with real estate. And then the last one, remember, I just talked about simplicity. I talked about you need to spend less than you earn. I talked about one house. And the last rule is one spouse. And I know that this is controversial, but you know the quickest way to lose about 50% of your net worth is to go through a divorce. So your relationship, if you're married with your spouse, is really, really important, not just for financial reasons, but for all kinds of reasons. And I think it's time, it's money, and it's effort very well spent to constantly do what you can to build that relationship up, to build your partner up, to make that the strongest, best relationship that it can be. So those are the 4 rules. And I hope you found this video helpful. I also think you'll find this video up here helpful that talks about the 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can. Once you've won, once you've achieved that goal, once you've been able to generate your financial independence, I want you to reach out. I want you to reach out and grab that brass ring and actually take advantage and actually retire. And that's what this video is here. I'll see you in there. Bye-bye.